And I think that, the big increase in numbers, because I think it's 160% increase when I did the math. The increase is both a result of just word getting out that this advising is available, but also because summer and fall are so popular in terms of participation in study abroad, winter is when everything has to be done. And so it's also a really intensive time for, study abroad related activity.
Okay.
So as we introduce the advising, we're learning what's the flow through the academic year of the different types of services that we need to be focusing on.
Okay. Just one thing that stood out when you were talking about was that it's a long process. Is it, I guess since we're interested in the technology involved, is it something that there's a lot of forms to fill out? There's
Yes.
a lot of, okay.
Yes, there's a lot of forms. So starting with searching for a program or even knowing what options are available, it requires students to, go on a website, find a program search engine, look by criteria that they may not be familiar with. So that can be intimidating right off the bat. And then as you move into the application phase, the application for all UW affiliated programs is online. It requires some essays, 2 letters of recommendation, putting in your biographical information. So at each one of those steps along the way, we lose students. And what we're seeing is that students really like for us to show them, to walk through a search together, or to show the application system during an appointment, to know how to get started and know what all the different tabs and components are before they have to do it on their own. And certainly there are some students that don't need our help at all. They're totally independent, they can handle it. But I think that given how diverse our student body is and how big of a percentage of our students are first generation college students, they don't even necessarily know that this is something to be interested in, or that this is something that's accessible to everyone. And the student ambassadors are really able to make a huge impact with that, and especially with the financial piece. So many students say, oh, study abroad sounds nice, but I can't do that. That's only for rich kids, or I don't have the money, it costs so much. But the truth is there are so many scholarships that if you plan ahead and if you apply for those scholarships, you can have your whole experience funded. So one of our ambassadors is a student who thought that exact same thing, and her whole experience was fully funded. She applied for several scholarships, got 2, and off she went to India. And now, when she shares that story, students are like, oh, well, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. And it's different than if I say, oh, you should study abroad because it's so great for your educational experience, and employers are looking for these intercultural skills, and that's important as well, but that's not going to make a student necessarily be convinced.
Right.
It's much more effective when it comes from another student.
Okay. So how many students attend the study abroad information sessions, which I'm assuming there are information sessions?
There are.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was really interesting to look at as well. So in autumn 2012, and again I have some statistics for you from this academic year, we had 2 sessions and 21 students attended those. During winter we had 2 sessions, only 9 students attended. And in the current quarter we have 2 general study abroad information sessions plus 2 sessions that are specifically focused on the affordability aspect of study abroad. And so far attendance has been almost 0, as in so far 1 student came. However, we also participated in the SelectQuest fairs that CUSP had for the pre-major students, and the career fair, and we had a lot of traffic at those events, especially in the SelectQuest fair. So I think that the numbers, I wouldn't take these numbers to mean that there's a declining interest in study abroad. I think it really has to do with the flow of the different pieces throughout the academic year. So in order to go during the summer or fall, students have to get started in the process in the fall. So it makes sense that they would come to information sessions in greater numbers in the fall quarter, because then they start applying at the end of fall quarter into the winter quarter. In the spring, there aren't very many applications open except for the quarter-long or semester-long or year-long programs. So I think students don't think that there's as much of an immediate need to get the information. They would rather probably wait until the fall.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, maybe you answered this already, but out of all applicants, what's the percentage that gets awarded?
And what do you mean awarded? For scholarships or accepted into programs?
Sure, either. Whatever you got.
Yeah, both. Both
So-
would be nice.
For scholarships, it depends on which scholarship. I mean, for the UW Bothell Study Abroad Scholarship, the acceptance rate so far has been 90-something%. We've turned away some students, but mainly because they didn't answer the questions in the application. I do expect that to change as we have more students studying abroad and as students learn more about the scholarship. For other scholarships, there's the GO and the FRID scholarships, which are for all students in the UW system. Those are certainly a lot more competitive, just because almost all UW students who plan on going abroad apply. And I don't know exactly what the acceptance rate is. I would say maybe 30%. For national scholarships, for the Gilman program, which it tries to bring diversity into study abroad participation, for the summer awards, it's the most competitive, and it's probably 30% acceptance rate. And for academic year programs, it's probably closer to 50%. But it varies on a yearly basis because the money's appropriated by Congress each year. So the numbers have been increasing, but who knows? In terms of acceptance into study abroad programs, you know, the statistics I gave you were 68 students applied and 46 are now committed. So 2/3.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
So,
It's pretty high for.
it's more because they've filled out all the applications and gone through the whole process, pretty much? Are there like grade point average
Yes,
things
so
and stuff
there,
like that?
in terms of reasons why students don't get
Yeah,
accepted,
that's what I'm more trying to say.
they don't fill out the application.
Okay.
That's probably reason number one. Reason number two is there are some program-specific selection criteria, and so some programs are more competitive than other programs. So there could be GPA requirement, and certainly when I look at the, students who've started applications, some of them don't have competitive GPAs, so I could see that would be a reason they would get turned down. Although the GPA requirement for most programs is 2.75 or 3, so it's not too demanding. The other is that some programs are limited to how many students they can take, and so they have to prioritize. And I would say programs in London and Italy would probably be some of the more competitive ones. Maybe Italy not so much, because we have the Rome Center, which is a sort of an outpost of the UW in the center of Rome, and because of that facility, there's a lot of programs that go to Rome each year because they provide a lot of support. So maybe London is an example of where the competitive programs are.
Okay. Oh, so that kind of goes into question 11. What are some of the reasons for applicants to be rejected? So,
Yeah.
GPA, not good enough. Doesn't sound like funding shortage is a problem.
Well,
necessarily.
funding shortage is a reason that students aren't able to participate. So when acceptance decisions are made, they're not looking at the student's financial circumstances because,
Sure.
While the student is applying for the program, they could also be applying for scholarships, and
Right.
even if they don't have the money right now, they could still be able to afford it. But as the situation plays out, some students are accepted but aren't able to commit to the program because they don't have the funding.
Okay.
And we've certainly seen that happen.
Okay. Is there any other reason that?
Just people's plans change.
Mhm.
But I would say the number one reason applicants are rejected is that they don't fill out the application, or they fill it out and don't do all the pieces, or they don't answer the question.
Mm.
And that happens more than you would think for scholarships as well.
Does the school give them a chance to correct some of the mistakes on the application, or maybe fill out the missing pieces?
If it's pretty early in the application process, certainly.
Okay.